Hey guys, Marcelo here with you for another lesson. And today we'll continue on our overview on how to get your theme ready for Gutenberg, this new content creation experience in WordPress. In today's lesson, we'll start making some changes to our theme files. You'll begin to understand the connections between your theme and Gutenberg and what you need to do if you want your theme to get the most out of the new editor. So let's begin. The first cool thing we're gonna do today is to enable a new Gutenberg feature. This feature is called Wide Images and allows you to add two more types of image alignments to some of the blocks. Not all of them, but some important ones. And those two alignments are called respectively Align Wide and Align Full. For you to have a visual idea of what I'm talking about, we're gonna grab a test WordPress installation. This is not the one we'll be working with today. And I'll be showing these little details in practice. So here we got an image block. If I click this block, you see here that besides the three more common alignments, I have two more. If I choose here the first one that says wide width, you see that the image becomes a little bigger. So it overrides the size of the main container. Do you see? Now if I click the other button, full width, you see that the image spans to the end of the page. Well, this very cool feature can currently be applied to 9 block types. You see on the screen the name of all of the blocks that at the moment accept wide and full alignment. Possibly that number will increase with time. And it may also be the case that some block generated by some plugin also can make use of them. Anyway, it makes no sense at all for me to show a list here because it will surely be outdated. Now I said earlier that we need to add support for this feature if I want to use it. In fact, it's an opt-in feature. That's where your theme comes in. Do you remember that add theme support function that we used extensively in the course? Well, in order to have those wide images enabled, as well as other more advanced features in Gutenberg, your theme has to add support first. For this, let's go ahead and open up the functions.php file. And here inside the function learn WP config, here at the end of it, we're gonna add another support. So add theme support, and we want to pass a kind of support called align-wide. Let's save this now and reload the editor. Let's go back to the previous page and close this one here because this is just a test. We have a lot of work to do today with this theme here. And here in the gallery block, look, we already got the two alignment buttons. If we click them, look, they can already change the appearance of the gallery here in the editor. However, if I try to preview the changes I made, look. Where are all of the changes? I just can see them. So that means there's something we still have to do. If we inspect this image gallery block, we see that what happens here is that WordPress automatically adds here in the UL element a couple of CSS classes. Some of them, such as this WP block gallery, are already implemented by default. If you take a closer look, you see that most of the CSS for the blocks are already implemented within this file here. That's why most native blocks work out of the box, as I mentioned before. In this case, as you see here, they are coming from the Gutenberg plugin folder. I believe that after WordPress 5.0, they will come from somewhere else. So that's the case for all of the native features. But those other more advanced features, the ones that you need to add support to, they will always require you to add extra CSS in your theme so they can work. At least for now. Maybe in the future that will change. Who knows? But the good news is that a lot of people have been working to implement this, and I found some good examples of themes and tutorials about the subject. In short, all we need to do is to add the CSS for those two classes, align wide and align full, in our theme CSS file. So let's go ahead, open file, which is here inside the themes folder, learn WP, CSS, template.css. And here below I'm gonna paste the CSS just to speed things up a bit, and I'll be explaining to you what's going on here. First, we need to make sure that this code here will only be applied when the viewport is at least 1140 pixels. 1140 pixels is the width size of the container class of our theme. You can go on and set also another values here later and see which makes more sense to you, okay? Here for the two classes, we set a margin button, so nothing special here. Now, to center each of the two classes, there is a handful of different solutions. Some developers prefer to use negative margins, for example, but I prefer the solution here which uses CSS transforms to center content. With that, it's enough that for each class you set the width relative to the viewport using the VW unit. For the wide alignment, I set a value of 75 VW, which will correspond to 75% of the rendering area of the screen, which we call viewport. And for the full width, the value is 100 VW, of course, 100%. Just an update. Some students have been complaining that this CSS code I indicate here is not working any longer. However, according to the tests I did, the code still works perfectly. But just in case, I'm leaving here an alternative solution. You can see it on the screen. In case the first solution doesn't work for you, pause the video and use this other solution, okay? That's all. Let's save and do some testing. Just reload the page. Now we can see that the gallery is occupying 100% of the screen. But if you resize the screen, look. If the width is smaller than 1140 pixels, as we defined, it's not so big. The same thing for the wide width. We can test that directly here in the element inspector if you wish. Set here to wide. And now, as you can see, the width is only slightly larger than the container, but only when the viewport is at least 1140 pixels. Awesome! But there's only one strange thing happening, and maybe that's a Gutenberg bug. If I try to do the same thing for a video, it won't work. Let's add a YouTube video block, for example. And let's set it as a full width block. Well, here in Gutenberg, it looks nice. But look what happens when we preview. Look at that. That sucks. To solve that for now, we're gonna need some tricks. But that will do for the next lesson. See you then.